Hello, my name is Maurice from Merging Technologies, and we're part of the Sennheiser Group. So we're here on the Sennheiser booth with Sennheiser, with Neumann, and with Merging at ISE 25. And we unveil at ISE here Ovation number 11 now. So it is not yet available, but it's unveiled. So we're in the process of making it available. And I try to explain you a little bit what Ovation is about and what it does and for what it is used for. So it's a show sequencer, a play controller, and a playout system at the same time. So it consists of different cue lists. Those cue lists obviously can contain audio and have different formats. This cue list can be standard cue lists like this one, where you can play one cue, then the next one, and so on. Or like hotkey cue lists, like the colored one, where, for example, an operator will touch them or will launch them because it's for a theater. But it can also be programmed in a way that it just wakes up in the morning, does its thing, does its show, and goes to sleep at night. So it's just then a matter of design, of programming, and working with an integrator, for example, to be able to do that. But the interesting thing is that every cue, if I click on that cue, for example, here, I then see that in that case it contains audio, but it has here all kinds of different commands to be able to send out, for example, protocols such as old-fashioned ones, serial protocols like RS-232, but also MIDI, but also OSC, but also GPO, and so on, or to receive them. So I can control other things, or I can be controlled from something else. This is for that cue. But now if I look to that cue, I will add here down there a little marker so that within this cue I have a marker, and then in this marker I can set what we call an interaction rule. For example, to fire another cue, or to pause it, or to dim it. And I have all my different cues available here. I can start to create some rules, basically creating my show and how the different cues will interact. That means that if I'm, for example, in a museum and we have a person detector over here, that means now somebody's coming in, is detected, and that's going to trigger this cue. And this cue, for example, is going to trigger here an automation where this is just a cue with automation without audio. And I see that now my panner is moving everything up to the Tuft Live speaker, for example. So we have a panner. It's not a final renderer for big installations, but it's sufficient for small museums and things like that. Basically, it's the standard gain panner. But it hooks up over ADM OSC to be able to speak to bigger panners. So it's, again, just a matter of design and of speccing how big and small that project might be. That brings me to the mixer. We have a full-blown mixer. Obviously, it can be used with other mixers together for people who have a real mixer, but it's a real mixer on itself, software-based as well, if you don't have a mixer. So again, if it's an install, if it's a broadcaster, or if it's a theater or an opera, people will work differently with that. There are many things in Ovation, but one thing that is completely new is the mixer, obviously, and the design of the mixer. With all the plugins, each plugin is up to 32 channel, and so on and so on. But what is very nice is that behind you have a Pyramix. People might know that coming from the recording environment, mastering environment, multi-track audio environment. Pyramix is a very powerful digital audio workstation, but we use it here specifically as an editor. It comes with each Ovation. So now I have a clip here, for example, or a cue in that sense, and with one function, I'm gonna edit it now in Pyramix. And here it shows up in Pyramix. I can show it a bit better so that I open it. I make now a few edit functions, and I make a crossfade. I can change some of the automation, for example. I can add some volume curves or whatever it is. And now with one knob, I'm gonna go back and publish it as a new cue in Ovation. And there we go. So this is then the workflow typically where a sound designer, for example, is going to design its show, and the last day or the last hours before the opening, they're going to fine-tune everything. So they have a proper editor to refine automation, to refine edits, to refine mixes directly with the Pyramix. So there's no back and forth with other workstation, going into a studio, rendering a file, bouncing it, and so on. It's all at your disposal with one click.